say if I'm not around, or like if I don't go live consistently, something probably bad has happened, you know? And so unfortunately something bad did happen. So the night of the 14th, it was about like 2 a.m. or so, about 2 a.m. My wife started kind of getting up out of bed. Sorry, this is kind of like going to be pretty, you know, I just want to give like a little warning. It's a pretty, it's not the best thing to hear in the morning. Not the best thing to start off a stream with, but hey, we're talking shop with the fam. You know what I mean? So, yeah, she basically got up out of bed one time, you know, went to the bathroom. She'd been having pretty bad headaches for the last week or so. And we just kind of thought, because we had COVID at the time. So we thought it was bad. It was maybe just that. And I think we even like kind of talked about that on stream a little bit. And so she got up out of bed. She went and got like some Excedrin, you know, whatever. And then told Winston to go to sleep. And he did so, actually. She was like, oh, good boy. And then she lays back down. And then she like really like started, like it was like 2 a.m. I kind of woke up because she got up, you know. And then she started like hiccuping, like boom, 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 like hiccup. And so I kind of messed with her, and I was like, oh, I'm going to scare you. It was really dark in her room, so I couldn't really see her at all. But I was like, oh, I'm going to scare you, you know, get rid of your hiccups and stuff like that. And then about like 5 minutes later or so, she starts laughing like hysterically, right? Like just completely like just laughing. Like it was like it was almost like, it was kind of like a scary, like it was unsettling type of laugh. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? It's like 2 a.m., you know? So I'm like, what are you even doing? You know? And then she tried to get up, and she's like pushing against the bed and doing the same laugh, you know, pushing against the bed. And I was like, what are you doing? And so I kind of get up, and I'm like, what is going on with you? And so I turned on the light, and it was like, I'll never forget seeing that. But her whole left side was just no mobility at all. Her face was completely drooped on the left side. And I freaked out, you know, like anyone would. And she was just not even really coherent. You know, she was just kind of really out of it. And so I put her back on the bed, and kind of checked her out to see what was going on. And in my mind, I'm like, my dad's had a stroke before. And I was like, no freaking way. My wife, who's 30 years old, is having a stroke, you know? And it turns out she was. But so I grabbed my roommate, who's like a paramedic, not working as a paramedic now, but he just switched jobs. And so he's been a paramedic recently. But when grabbed him, was like, something's going on with Jordan. And then we called 911. Paramedics got there, and if you guys know anything about strokes, the timing is very, very important. If you don't know that, I want you to know that, because if anything, God forbid, like this happens to you, timing is very, very important with something like this. So there's like about like a 3 to 4 hour window to be able to administer a certain like medicine, and it's really important for like the process of getting rid of the blood clots. So but what happened was we take her in. We take her into basically she goes into emergency. Luckily we have a hospital around here that also has a stroke center that was like 5 minutes away from us, so it's really nice. And so she goes in, and then they get to like surgery. So they're gonna take her in for surgery, and they even told me on the phone it should be pretty quick. It's pretty like simple. It's like a pretty simple procedure. I mean, granted, whatever, but they found like a blood clot in her brain. So it was like in the middle, kind of right side of her brain. And so they found that, and they were going to, obviously going to take that out or do whatever they do, kind of a thing. And they do it all the time. So they kind of like realized it's probably pretty simple and whatever. It should have been like 30 minutes to an hour is what they said. And so I thought, after that point, I thought, she's probably good. And it turns out it was like she was in surgery for like 2.5 hours. to like 3 hours, because what had actually ended up causing her her stroke was something called a carotid artery dissection. So let me just kind of show you guys this really quick. So at first they were saying that the headaches were not even like part of the stroke. Like she wouldn't be able to feel that, like part of the, you know, the whole deal. But what caused it was in her carotid artery. So say this is like the artery, right? And I'm a horrible artist, right? But say this is the artery. The artery's got 3 walls, like on the carotid artery. So it's like kind of like really coated and whatnot. The one inside can basically like kind of tear right here. And then it can, instead of going like up like this and just staying that way, it'll flip back like that. And then the blood flow is completely cut off here, right? So if blood's trying to flow through, it's really cut off, and then it'll create some clots, and it'll shoot those clots eventually because there's pressure building up here. It'll shoot those clots out. So this is what caused her her stroke. And so this is caused by, you know, it can be caused by intense coughing. It can be caused by, you know, going to the chiropractor and they crink your neck the wrong way. It can be caused by kind of like crazy stuff. But the symptom of this is like intense headaches or like pain in the neck and that kind of stuff. So she was having headaches for like a week plus, you know? And so it's something now that we won't ever like, we'll definitely take somebody in for, you know, like if I have that or she has that or whatever. But this is what they had to go in and fix. And so they went in, they put stents in and pushed this wall back to there. So now it's back to that, right? So in theory, it should be all good to go and all that kind of stuff. And they did that, but she had 2 blood clots. She had one in her brain and then one within the artery itself. And that's why it took so long. Now, the hardest part about all this was like, she had tested positive for COVID again while she was there, even though it was like 2 weeks before that when we had our first like positive. There wasn't really any symptoms, that kind of stuff. And so nobody could go see her. So like she got done with surgery. We kind of had some communication, all kind of stuff, but nobody could go see her. I couldn't see her. She had to kind of go through all this like alone. And that was really, really difficult. So, basically she was in the hospital for 5 days, and I was there every single day. At about, you know, she started getting better and better. Her speech, her movement, all that kind of stuff pretty much came back to almost normal, almost like pretty much right away. And then she just was recovering from the surgery and all that kind of stuff. And then after that 5 days, they released her home, and I took care of her. You know, I've been taking care of her ever since. And she's been good though. I mean, she's moving around, she's talking, she's she's just doing incredibly well. It's like, you know, a miracle if you believe in that kind of thing or whatever it is. But it all happened to do with just timing. Like the fact that we got her in there so quick was the biggest deal. And for me personally, scariest moment of my entire life, you know, like not only having to see what I saw the night of, but like going through those 5 days of like not hearing anything really and not having good communication with doctors or not even be able to talk to her. For a lot of that was just so difficult. You know, you don't know how things are going to go. You don't know how they're going to, you know, and, yeah. So luckily I had my family here. Her family was, you know, on call and everything like that as well. And it was just, so it's ended up very, very good so far. And, we're in a good space. I think I'm definitely still processing, and I still, like, over the last couple days, going to sleep for me has been like the most anxious thing in the world. You know, like my like, I was even like just like having almost anxiety attacks and stuff. So sorry. One of the things that's really hard for me personally is like streaming again. do I say this? If that would have happened 1 hour into my stream, if a stroke would have hit 1 hour into my stream, I would not have been able to, I wouldn't have checked on her for 2 to 3 hours. And sometimes, I guess, the time that I trade here, not only for something like that, like it's kind of a fluke thing, right? But the time that I spend or that I trade has been in question for me recently. And that might mean schedule changes a bit or something. I don't know. I just want to be there, you know? Just want to be there. So, appreciate it, guys.